Hi everyone. So, welcome back to part 3 of the Princess Prep School. I'm away from my dorm right now, so I'll have to record on my laptop, which is why quality is going to be much worse. I hope that's going to be fine still, but if you're wondering why, that is why. I also won't have as much time to record, but I really wanted to work the Princess Prep School because it's, of course, very unfinished still. So that's what I want to do today. So let's just get right into it. Okay, so last time I made first, second floor. I think today is going to be more like a speed build because the microphone is that bad as you're noticing right now. So I think that's going to be how we're going to do it, just speed build. I'll zoom in on my mistakes because I guess that's funny. But yeah, and I wanted to fix some mistakes today, so I guess that's nice too. Okay, so the rest of the audio is really bad, so I'm just going to do the voiceover on my phone because the microphone is much better there than on my laptop. So when you hear me in the future, I did not, in fact, get to fix my microphone on my laptop, but I did instead go on my phone and do a voiceover of whatever just happened, or anything I wanted to detail. So that's what is happening. So today I was going to focus on making the exterior as well as the third and fourth floor that I thought I wanted to make. I'm still not entirely sure as of the end of this video if I'm going to keep the floor plan exactly as I made it right now, but I think it's a good temporary setup. So today we're going to do third floor, fourth floor, and exterior shell. This is not going to be the inside just yet, but it's most likely going to be the last part that we're just working on the shell of the entire thing and the floor plan. So we're going to see how it goes from here on out. And I also wasn't entirely sure of what to do. I miscounted a few tiles in the last video, which is why I had to spend some time fixing those mistakes. And they've been nagging on me for so long that I just had to fix them. I haven't posted in a long while now, over a week, which is not technically a long time. However, it is longer than what I wanted it to be, and that is because of, for those of you who don't know, which is none of you just yet, I go to a boarding school for high schoolers, and in there we have to clean up our dorms before each holiday. So I was very busy cleaning, which is why I was not able to post in this entire week that passed. I wasn't even able to record, really, so yes, and I've been being with my family for the last few days, so that is also a reason for why I could not record as much as I would like to. So I'll just get to editing this now, because I feel like I owe the people who, wanted to watch a Princess Prep School being made. Also, I know that some of you might want to recreate this because I'm not an expert builder, so I'm by no means saying that this is what everyone's going to want. I know that there's some of you who might want to make your own Princess Prep School, and when I watch speed builds personally, which I know is not everyone, but sometimes I'm looking for inspiration for my own builds, or I know that some people also like to just entirely recreate the thing that others have made. I do not mind if anyone wants to take inspiration from this or want to recreate it for themselves. However, I also have to say that I'm not that talented, so if anyone wants to improve on it, I would love to see that as well. Yeah, in case anyone wants to see what I'm doing in more detail, that's why I have it on ×5 speed instead of what some people do, which is ×10 or more, because I think that the details might be important to some people. And I also had a lot of trouble with the dorms. I did not know exactly how much or how big I wanted them to be. I did not know where I wanted them to be because I realized that I do not have enough space if I want more than like 4 students. I wanted them to be double rooms, so that further complicated things a little bit, because of course you need more space in a double room than you would need a single room, and also they're all princesses and princes, so I really wanted them to have luxurious rooms as well. So it was hard to find the space for that. I'm basically using the entire plot, but I know I said it maybe a bit too much in the last 2 videos, but there is not enough space on the plots in Bloxburg. I tried so hard to fit in everything, and in the end, I'm pretty sure I managed to fit 12 students, 6 boys and 6 girls. I might be wrong about that, I'll have to check again, but I think I managed to do it just fine in the end. But in the end I was actually quite surprised by how much I managed to fit inside the castle. In the beginning I thought I would have to ditch the teacher dorms as well as offices for the principal and counselors, for example. However, I was surprised to find out that I actually had a lot more space than what I originally thought I did. So that was a really nice surprise, especially for someone who thinks that there's not enough space on one plot, which I still believe there isn't, but it was a positive surprise when I figured that I had enough space for offices. And even though I originally wanted to keep the towers, I later realized that if I want the floor plan to be big enough, I'd have to ditch them on the inside. I didn't do it on the outside because I still think that towers are a lot of what makes a castle into a castle. But I'm quite happy with the fact that I managed to make myself let go of the towers, because I don't think I would have had enough space if I kept the tower walls on the inside. So I think that was a good choice now looking back at it, even though I was kind of very, very frustrated with it when I first had to let go of them. Something that I did that I can recommend to anyone else who's looking to make a castle is that I made the sketch of how I wanted the outside of the castle to look before I actually tried making the outside of the castle. Because the thing is, I have no idea how roofing works if I have to wing it on the spot, which is of course is just me because I'm not an experienced builder at all. The thing is that it helped me a lot to see what kinds of roof the structure called for, and personally that made me learn a lot better how to use roofs. So I'm using this as a learning experience. This might not have been the easiest build to start learning with, I have to admit, but I recommend making sketches before and planning before you actually do something like that. And it might just be me because I'm an art student, but for me personally, I really like having things planned out, and it helped a lot in case anyone's looking for tips from a noob. Also, later on, I realized that it looked really weird and boring without more towers. So I used some basic shapes to just add some flair, I suppose. And I think that really helped with the structure, making it look like a castle. It reminded me a lot of the old structure from Barbie Princess Charm School, if anyone is remembering that. I don't know, I haven't seen it in a while, but that's what popped into my mind, so I hope that's a good enough reference. I really think it added some flair because I did not, in fact, make a very good sketch of the front of the castle, so I was kind of happy with how it turned out. I might stand to add a few more towers in the future, just because, but we'll see how it goes. By the end, I was fumbling around a lot with the entrance and seeing how that was going to go. I had kind of a vision in my head, however, I did not know exactly how I wanted it to be. But I think it ended up being fine in the end, because I wanted something with a rounded shape, however, I did not know exactly how rounded I wanted it to be. I think I found a good compromise for exactly how I wanted it to be. I think it was pretty unrealistic expectations for Bloxburg, but I think it ended up being more than fine with how good it ended up looking, in my personal opinion. So yeah. But thank you so much for watching. I had a blast today, fixing some mistakes and making a pretty good, in my personal opinion, build. I'm finally done with the shell, which means that it's done. It's time for the interior soon. Something that I'm very excited for, and I can't wait to share with all of you as well. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time. Bye!